பிரேம் எங்கே இருக்கீங்க? லாஸ்ட்டா? வாங்க சார், மேலே வாங்க, ஸ்டேஜுக்கு வாங்க. One hand mic for. என்ன பிரேம் எப்படி இருக்கீங்க?
சூப்பர் சத்யா, fascinating story.
So here comes an amazing person. I'll tell you why he is amazing on 3 counts. Somewhere in the month of May 2022, after COVID, we were all having the physical sessions, and one of the important sessions was a session for entrepreneurs done by Prem. He was a 12-year-old entrepreneur at that time. I was not an entrepreneur. I remember to this day, and I will always remember some of the stories that he said. One day in his office, the power had gone, and the developers, the team saying, "Sir, jennu podunga sir, enna pannittu irukeenga?" It's okay? Oh, sure. And I remember now this story every time. As a founder, as a co-founder, you can't say somebody will do it. If something is not moving, you bloody well do it. That was the message which Prem gave. And he was citing a number of books, which I promptly bought. IBM, Louis Gesner's book, The Ride of a Lifetime. All books were mentioned by Prem, bought by me and read. And recently we were contemplating on this idea of doing a book club, and we did not expect that we'll be having a program in PMI Chennai. Most interestingly, most importantly, Prem hails from Madurai. Optisol has an office in Madurai, the Pandiya Nadu. I come from Tanjavur, the land of Cholas. If K.S. Ravi Kumar is going to make another super hit film, what it would be titled as? Soran Pandian. Soran Pandian was a 1991 hit. Now
maybe we can add Pallava. We are in Pallava Nadu actually.
Fantastic. சொல்லுங்க பிரேம், எப்படி இருந்தது இந்த புக்கு?
Wonderful, Satya. Before that, a couple of things. One is ask from my end, you should do some podcast, Satya, because the way you narrate the overall story, it's really captivating. So you read a lot of books, I know. So as a hobby, maybe every month you can do some podcast, something on YouTube, so that everybody can catch the grasp of the book. எல்லாருமே book read பண்றதுக்கு they may not have time or may not have interest, but listening is always an easy thing, at least as a story. So start doing that. Second one was on the dumpster ads. When Satya told about this idea of doing dumpster ads, I thought we are too old to do that, and who is going to answer? But brilliant minds. I was really shocked. Kadakadana எல்லாரும் answer பண்ணீங்க. I didn't expect that to happen. That's why I think PMI Chennai chapter is the best performing chapter actually. Very intelligent minds. So great work on that.
இன்னொன்னுக்கும் கிளாப் பண்ணலாம். ஒரு நாள் பிரேம் ஃபோன் பண்ணிட்டு, பிரேம் பிஎம்ஐயில் ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் பண்ணலாமா? பண்ணலாம் சத்யா, சொல்லுங்கள். இந்த புக்கு என்ன புக்கு? மைண்ட் வித்தவுட் வேர். அப்படியா, நான் இன்னும் படித்ததில்லை அப்படின்ற 2 minutes பேசிகிட்டே இருந்தோம். 2 minutesல பிரேம் டெல்ஸ் மீ தட் ஹி ஹஸ் ஆர்டர்ட் தி புக் இன் அமேசான் அண்ட் இட் இஸ் கெட்டிங் டெலிவர்ட் ஆன் சாட்டர்டே. ஹி இஸ் ரேசர் ஷார்ப்.
Because that's how gurus show us the direction. So when you hear something, you will go to that book and then that will show direction to something else. So thanks to Satya for this opportunity actually. Thanks to PMI for giving this opportunity. Good, Satya. So from the book perspective, I think he has given a wonderful narration from a philosophical perspective, from a business perspective, and how someone rag to rich story, we celebrate people, and we never hear story about people falling from the top and getting back into some dust again. In a sense, from an ethical perspective, right? Somebody you celebrate as an humongous personality, and when they fall all the way from a cliff, we won't listen to their story. So this book is an wonderful exemption, and you will get to hear that particular story of a life journey actually, or a dumbbell curve mari, something that goes all the way up and then falls down. So really fascinating story.
ஸோ இது என்ன குட் பேட் அக்லி அஜித் படம் இல்லை, இது இந்த எந்த கேட்டகரியில் போடுவீங்க?
I think it has everything actually, right? So You rightly said, Tamile pottinga, Elichi, Vilchi, Valarchi. I would say that as good, bad, and the ugliest part of his life. But a lot of interesting learning for professionals as well, from somebody, particularly for someone like me who is running a business, or equally for someone, because you are entrepreneurs within the organization, you run your own organization, you run your own projects, you run your own portfolio. Real good learnings, because somebody at MD level in McKinsey giving insights about the business, it's really awesome actually. So we can get a lot of inputs on the business perspective as well.
So which one was most captivating to you, Prem?
I can narrate 2 or 3 points, Satya. First one, I'll start with your story in that same order. He moved all the way from India to US, right? And even I was able to correlate that stuff, because in those days when we moved from India to US, it would be really challenging to adapt to that particular culture. The reason being, at least now we get exposed to all these movies and accent and everything. At least we know how it is. We see Netflix series and all those stuff. We know how it is. But early days, it used to be really challenging. And this guy says when he's in Harvard Business School, he is in a culturally unfamiliar environment. And rather than focusing on how to be like them, he thought he'll play on his strength and leverage that difference. It's a very beautiful word actually. That's one of the very a good pick of the book for me is leverage on your strength, whatever is your strength, and don't worry about that particular difference. So how he does that is whenever he has to interact with people in US, everybody thinks you have to go to golf or you have to talk about their football. He sticks to our own culture. In a sense, he talks about Indian wedding, how big an Indian wedding is, how culturally different Indians are, how different we are in terms of different languages. So this makes better connection to his clients, this makes better connection to his audience, rather than talking about something else where he's not even familiar with, right? So whenever you are different, accept that difference. Like we cannot be like everybody else. If at all you are in US, every state is different. Somebody coming to India, they cannot be like everyone in India, because we are a country of country, right? So whenever there's a cultural difference, instead of being adapting to that particular stuff, leverage on your strength and see how you can play on that. That is number one good take. Fantastic. And the second one,
அங்கே ஒரு question, நீங்க அந்த இந்திரா நூயி புக் படிச்சிருப்பீங்க,
right?
She gives an example.
Same thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you narrate better story.
I think in the book by Indra Nooyi, she is again going to US somewhere in 70s, whatever. She is trying to find the best garment, best fit, especially a girl, no? And she has only $50, if I remember right. And the campus interview, if they miss, there is a big problem. So she tries to go best, but she's a flop show. It didn't work out well. Why are you horribly dressed? I mean, she could not afford anything more than that. Appo, the counselor there exactly says what Prem said. Why are you trying to change yourself? What is the best outfit in your country? Sari. Drape that and come in. She did that. You don't need to change yourself and do funny things which are not part of you to fit somewhere else. I think you can expand on that story.
Exactly. It's a wonderful correlation actually. So these are the things that we see in people who are really successful. They are authentic, they are original, and they know what value they stand for. They don't worry about the external aspects. They don't worry about how others will perceive them. They create that particular perception. If you look at Steve Jobs, or if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, they don't care about building perceptions. They behave what they do, and the people build that particular perception around them. So that is one good takeaway. And the second one, Satya, is something that applies to all of us from our day-to-day business perspective. Being a consultant, he talks about a lot of wonderful interactions he had with his end clients. Because this guy, even though he has grown into a global MD of McKinsey, he says he didn't want to stop interacting with the clients. He didn't want to stick with himself doing pure people business. A lot of us, when we move up in the value chain, we stop interacting with the clients, we start focusing more on internal activities, managing people, managing deliveries, and getting stuck with whatever we have to do internally. But he says never give up on interacting with your client, because that is where you will learn, that is where you will be able to connect with the actual problems. Solving problems is where you should really focus on. And one of a good advice he gives is always remember your client knows more about your business than what you do. And whenever you want to make some radical changes on a client's business process, whatever you want to change, whatever recommendations you want to do, always be polite and do your homework really well. One good case he talks about is AT&T's case. In those days, AT&T used to give telephones, like the hard telephones that is connected at the home, right? The old phones, நம்ம button press பண்ணி கால் பண்ணுவோம்ல, landline phones. And people அந்த கனெக்ட் பண்ண ஃபோன் எடுத்தவங்க என்ன செய்வாங்கன்னா, வீடு காலி பண்ணிட்டு போகிறப்ப they'll take the phone with them and they have moved to some other house and the phone is gone. And AT&T has to search for everyone, look at their address, where they have moved, and the phone போய் திருப்பி they have to get it back and then collect the phones. And they used to have a huge collection center. இதை கால் பண்ணி அவங்க அட்ரஸை ட்ராக் பண்ணி எடுக்கிறதுக்காக they used to have a huge collection center. And McKinsey was hired to solve this specific problem on how to resolve this. This guy goes through the entire data quickly and then finds out it doesn't make sense to collect that particular phone because the amount of money spent on doing this tracking activity is more than the actual cost of the phone. But he cannot go and tell this immediately to the leadership team. Then he works on the numbers. He collects all the data in terms of cost for calling, call for coordinating எல்லாமே, plus comparing that with the actual cost of that particular hardware, and then he makes a recommendation, stop doing this, kill this entire unit, don't worry about this phone. That makes sense, right? Sometimes you have to think radically, but if at all he has gone without any data, nobody would have listened to this particular idea. Same thing he has done with another entity which is into soup manufacturing. And they have an operational process, more of a conveyor belt மாதிரி வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். Like they have to manufacture different type of soups, stop the process, start something else, and then they have to do a series set of activity. And there is some serious problem in terms of the productivity, inventory management, branding and all those stuff. So he's asked to work on that particular case, and he goes and he finds out does it make sense in terms of the overall process, and they don't need to expand the number of factories. They have to reduce the actual number of factories if at all they operate efficiently. So he goes to the CEO. Then the CEO, he presents the entire story. CEO says, does it make sense? You are not talking any sense at all. This is not going to be the case. You can go and visit all the factory and then come back to me. What you are talking is not making sense at all. ஸோ ஒரு 6 ஃபேக்ட்ரிக்கு ட்ராவல் பண்ணுறாரு, பண்ணிட்டு வந்து ஸ்டில் ஹி திங்ஸ் அட்லீஸ்ட் 2 ஃபேக்ட்ரிஸ் கேன் பி க்ளோஸ்ட், பட் ஹி ஹேஸ் டு ரெஸ்பெக்ட் தி ஓனர் பிகாஸ் ஹீ நோஸ் த பிஸ்னஸ் பெட்டர். ஸோ ஓனர்கிட்ட போயிட்டு வாட் யூ செட் இஸ் ரைட், ஃபேக்ட்ரிஸ் எஃபிஷியண்டாக ஒர்க் பண்ணுது, வி மே நீட் டு எக்ஸ்பேண்ட், பட் இட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் ஒன்லி வித் 1 ஃபேக்ட்ரி. The rest of the 5 factories are operating under efficiently. So at least you have to close 2 of those 5 factories and then replicate the 1 factory that you have visited. என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா, the owner ego he was able to massage because you know better about your business, about at least 1 factory your business is doing good, but at least 2 factories that I found are not good. So these are some of the communications that we really miss whenever we talk about in a complaining mindset, right? Whenever we talk about the customers, whenever we talk about our projects or processes, always we look at bad part of the overall stuff. There are some good things happening, so narrate that good part, massage, and then talk about the things that don't happen. So that was another, there are a couple of more case studies like similar to this, how he helped different companies. So those were interesting things.
Now I have seen Prem, even in some of my earlier roles, where the CEO goes and starts preaching to the client, they throw the CEO out. Right. If you talk to them, I have come here to be with you, understand your problem, I will do my best to solve it. I mean, you don't question their intelligence on their subject. Even if there is something questionable, don't question it bluntly. Go around it in such a way. I think in my humble opinion, if you are able to do this, it works. And as you rightly pointed out, powerful stories from Rajat on this client building, client relationship building.
And if it is happening for a company like McKinsey, when CEOs don't hear, listen to us, right? In a sense, they won't accept us as a huge brand, right? So we have to be really careful.
I know what I know is the typical mindset. Right. What else, Prem? Life aspect of it? How did you find this whole his life?
To be honest, it's very jittery. See, after reading this book in this particular age, like it will take all just a moment. You may be so careful, you may be so diligent in building your career, you may be so diligent in building your family, but one small mistake can collapse your entire life, collapse your entire reputation, collapse your entire organization that you have built. So sometimes I through that book and then started thinking, like typically in your project management language, you can do risk management for everything. But for a personal behavior, one small mistake, something that we didn't even dreamt of, if you do that, then that's what happens with your ladder. So we have to be really careful. So that is one jittery moment, particularly in this midlife crisis.
அதில் என்னென்னா நீங்கள் சொன்ன 2 புக்குமே for example, the Louis Gesner's IBM book or the Disney book, they were all positive stories.
Right.
They started somewhere, they struggled. I remember the ride of a lifetime.
Right.
He is brutally humiliated in the early part, but then where everybody goes to the top and stays there.
Right.
But nobody has fallen. I mean, this is first time I am seeing a book where, or a life where somebody was at a phenomenally great height and then a stupendous or unbelievable fall.
Exactly.
And the மாதிரி have you read any other book like this?
No, even I asked ChatGPT, Satya, to be honest. Can you compare this story with anybody else or any movie? It could not give any story actually.
I think this is where mythology comes into help. Whether, for example, Yudhishthira was a king, but then where he was. All one moment of indiscretion.
Right.
Harishchandra was a great king, but then he had to do, at least he was fighting for a principle, not like Yudhishthira fighting for temptation and all that, but that one moment of temptation not only ruins you, it ruins your family, it ruins your society, sometimes it even ruins your country.
And that happens on the business more than anything else. If it is politics, they make it another event, throw that out, and then they change the narration, they can still survive in the politics. Sports, they can still survive. But in the business and professional life, these are real challenging events actually. Look at what happened recently with this, music show event. One of those events, they had the camera focused on this Mercury, this
That US
event, right? I forgot that.
Forgot,
Yeah. Coldplay event. One
moment of indiscretion.
Yeah, exactly. One change in the camera angle collapsed the entire life. He's out of that particular company now.
So I think normally whenever we do this process adoption, quality standards, general advice that I give to any of my teams, companies is you don't do it just because an auditor is going to come and see. You have to do it because you have to do it. It's not that when the auditor goes, you will go back to your old way. And life is not in two parts. It's always in one part, and unless you are consistent about it all through. எனக்கு ஒரே ஒரு டவுட் பிரேம், இவ்வளவு அனலிட்டிக்கல் மைண்டு, அந்த ஃபேக்ட்ரிக்கு போகிறாரு, சூப் ப்ராப்ளம், ஜாம் ஃபேக்ட்ரி ப்ராப்ளம், so many problems he is able to solve analytically. He says some of the problems which I faced in the electrical engineering or whatever he studied at IIT Delhi, they were far more complex. He was able to solve. But how did he not analyze Raj Rajaratnam?
Just one word. 83வது அதிகாரம் திருக்குறள். கூடா நட்பு.
அது கூட நட்புன்னு தெரியலையே அவருக்கு.
That's the thing. He didn't know.
He didn't know until it ruined him. இதில் இன்னொரு பியூட்டி என்னன்னா, the another part of the story comes in the prison. He meets Rajaratnam in the prison. They have a chat. He questions him. He is trying to defend himself, but he also thanks and he forgives him. Then they play the game of cards, scrabbles. Vittar, he takes it, I mean, according to the book, he takes away the Rajaratnam as somebody who ruined him. He at least says so. And if you are able to pluck out the grudge and throw it away, at least you can move forward. Accident நடந்த இடத்துலயே நின்னு புலம்பிட்டு இருந்தா there is no point. You need to somehow move on. Yeah, it helps you more than anything. Yeah. Definitely. And his wife was far more sharper. Let us just give a big round of applause to all the women here. Please. Listen to them. She was always saying, why are you so much trusting? Why are you doing this? And they were never preventing him from doing this. Apparently the story runs in such a way, or he has written it in such a way, the women in his family, Sonu, his daughter, they were all able to give him certain pointers which was not apparently occurring to him.
As he rightly said, I think Karthik, right? When things tend to go wrong when they go wrong, Murphy's Law, right? Same way, I've heard some story from one of my ex-colleague. He's running huge, large MNC operations actually. He got a couple of people on IP camera where one of lead engineer, he's an ex-IITian, stealing milk packet every day from the pantry actually. See, an IITian earning about 6 lakhs or 7 lakhs package per month, stealing milk packet every day from the pantry. ஸோ எனக்கு ஐ ரிமெம்பர் ஜெயகாந்தன்ஸ் கோட், தமிழ் ரைட்டர் ஜெயகாந்தன்ஸ் கோட், ரைட்? அந்தந்த தவறுகள் அந்தந்த நேரத்து நியாயங்கள் அப்படிம்பாரு. இஃப் யூ ஹவ் ஆஸ்க்ட் ஹிம் ஒய் ஹி ஸ்டீலிங் அ மில்க் பேக்கெட், ஹி வுட் ஹவ் செட் வீட்டுக்கு போய் என்னால் வாங்க முடியல, எனக்கு முதல் நடந்து போகணும், நைட்டு ஐ எம் ஒர்க்கிங் ஹார்ட் இன் திஸ் கம்பெனி, ஹி வுட் ஹவ் டோல்ட் சம் ஸ்டோரி. So we will have some justification for all our mistakes, and we look back, then we would have felt bad about that, but at that time that was justifiable. So he might have got his own justification on why he is doing that. He might have got pissed off with the Goldman Sachs or the entire financial system. Why should not I earn money?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Any other clincher, Prem?
One other interesting aspect is, again, I'm talking more from a business perspective. Satya is talking more from philosophical perspective. Maybe I should get old to talk more on that side, because I always speak on the business side. One good thing is he wrote about 7 or 8 rules of right? 8 rules of Rajat Gupta, and 2 things were really, really good for me. One is being there is 90% of the game. Again, I was reading that multiple times. Sometimes when I feel really good with a line, I just throw the book and then keep ruminating that for some time. This line, again, we can connect with multiple people. If you look at Steve Jobs, he'll always say when product is ready 60%, ship it out. It should be ready to be there in the hands of the customers. When you want to start doing something, just to be there, then automatically things will happen, right? When you start building any habits. So he says being there is 90% of the game. So most of the time we keep planning, we do think about the risk, the outcome and what will happen and all those stuff, and we are not part of the game. We just stand on the sidelines and the game will go on. It happens with the stock market, it happens with habits, it happens particularly with our health. We'll always say let December go and January come, and every January will come and we'll keep moving that, right? So being there is 90% of the game. That was really good. And the other one, when in doubt, invite them home. I never heard this line, but it was really fascinating. When in doubt, invite them home. I could not get the meaning immediately. Then he talks about the same stuff at a later point. What he says is, whenever you have some personal relationship issues with somebody else, whenever you have some trust issues with someone, it may be your friend or it may be some of your relatives, invite them home. Don't meet them outside or don't talk over the phone or something. The moment you start interacting with someone at your home, it changes your mindset, it builds some good relationship with them. And I felt that after reading that particular line, after he gives some example with his wife Anita, he talked about, right? He invited a couple of his old friends to his home, and he was able to resolve a lot of issues around these particular trust issues and all those stuff. So I was thinking that's what happened in our early days in our life, right? My parents, he used to bring in some known person from his school days to our home. Nowadays we don't even travel to someone, even our close relatives actually. Even we hesitate to stay over the night or something, even to take food, we don't do that. But these things make a huge difference. When you invite people to home, that trust gets built, and that will help in your business life as well. So he was able to build a lot of business networking by inviting people to his home rather than being there on the golf course or spending time somewhere out. So that's another interesting story. And the last one, Satya, I think we are running out of time, but one is on the diversity. He quotes Rabindranath Tagore everywhere. So all the way from the name of the book to lot of quotes, he talks about Rabindranath Tagore. And one line he always talks about is on this diversity, the unity in diversity. So always accept this diversity amongst ourselves. In the workplace that we are, in terms of women, in terms of the disabled, in terms of whatever it is, you have to accept this diversity and then see how you can build unity so that organizations are built from a long-term perspective. Don't think anything from a short-term perspective. This diversity, inclusiveness will help us to build a long-term sustainable country, long-term sustainable organization. That was another good takeaway for me.
Fantastic. Anything else?
I'm good. We're talking for long.
Fantastic. Thanks for making it.
Thanks, Satya.
I think we will, the number 1 opener and the number 4. Satya,